Sometimes I sit back and think about how crazy the world of celebrities really is. We see them on our screens, smiling, looking perfect, living what seems to be this dream life that we all secretly envy. But what most people don't realize is that behind those glossy Instagram posts and red carpet appearances, there's a whole different world that operates with its own rules, its own secrets, and its own set of players. And one of the most fascinating and honestly controversial corners of that world is something people like to call yacht culture. Now, if you've never heard about it before, buckle up, because this is one of those things that sounds like fiction until you dig deep and realize, wow, this actually happens. And it's not just some made-up story. It's something that has been part of the entertainment industry for years, quietly influencing careers, relationships, and even the images we see projected in the media. So let's start with the obvious question: what exactly is yacht culture? Because when people hear that term, they usually picture a bunch of celebrities chilling on a fancy boat in the middle of the ocean, sipping champagne and taking selfies. And yes, that does happen, but that's the surface level stuff, the stuff they want you to see. The real story is way more complicated and honestly kind of shocking. It's not just about relaxing and networking, it's about money, influence, and sometimes things that are morally questionable. This whole system is like an underground economy where certain rich individuals use luxury yachts as their playgrounds, and celebrities, especially up-and-coming actors, models, and influencers, get invited for reasons that aren't always as innocent as they might seem. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, let's just be real about one thing. Not everyone who goes on a yacht is doing something shady. Sometimes people just want to have fun, hang out, and enjoy a good time. But, and this is a big but, there's another side to it that involves deals, arrangements, and, well, let's just say favors, being exchanged in ways that aren't exactly public knowledge. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and honestly, a little sad. A lot of young actors and influencers see these opportunities as a fast track to success. Think about it. You're 22 years old, trying to make it in Hollywood, you don't come from money, and suddenly someone offers you a chance to be on a multi-million-dollar yacht, surrounded by powerful people, and maybe, just maybe, it could open doors for you. For a lot of them, it feels like an opportunity they can't refuse. And that's where the line starts to blur, because what starts as a simple invite for a luxury trip can quickly turn into something more complicated, something that feels like a transaction. And it's not always about money in the direct sense. Sometimes it's about connections, roles in movies, brand deals, things that can completely change someone's career overnight. And when you look at it from that perspective, you can understand why some people feel like they have no choice but to play along. Does that make it right? Absolutely not, but it does explain why this culture continues to exist even in 2025. One of the names that keeps coming up whenever people talk about this stuff is Zac Efron. Now, I'm not saying any of this as confirmed truth because, honestly, a lot of these stories live in this grey area of rumours, speculation, and half-truths. But Zac is a fascinating case because if you go back a few years, he was this Disney kid, right? The High School Musical heartthrob, the clean-cut guy every teenage girl had a crush on. Fast forward to now, and he's this global superstar. He's had major roles, a Netflix series, and all these projects that cemented him as more than just a teen idol. But in between all that, there were whispers, stories about him being seen on yachts with certain wealthy individuals. And people started to question, how did his career pivot so fast from being the kid who sang in a high school gym to being a Hollywood A-lister with this edgy, mature image? Again, I'm not saying yacht culture is the only reason, but it makes you think about how many strings are being pulled behind the scenes in this industry. The thing is, it's never just about one person. This is a system, and it thrives because everyone involved is getting something out of it. The rich guys hosting these trips, they get the company of beautiful, famous people, which boosts their own status and ego. The celebrities, they get access to resources, networking opportunities, and sometimes even financial benefits that they might not have had otherwise. And before you think this is just about women, let me tell you, it's not. Men are just as involved in this, sometimes even more than you'd imagine. There are plenty of young male actors and models who get pulled into this world because, again, the promise of quick success is hard to ignore. And honestly, it says a lot about how fame works today. Social media makes it look like everyone is self-made, like they worked hard and suddenly blew up because they're talented. But behind the scenes, a lot of those success stories have chapters that nobody talks about publicly. What really blows my mind though is how normalized this has become in certain circles. People don't even question it anymore. They just see a celebrity post a picture on a yacht and the comments are all like, living the dream, or goals. But no one stops to think about why that person is there, who invited them, and what the dynamics of that situation might really be. And honestly, it raises bigger questions about the price of fame. Like, how much are people willing to compromise to get to the top? Because let's be real, the entertainment industry has always been about power and access. This isn't new. What's new is how open it has become, how it's almost celebrated in a weird way. And the scary part? For every big name we hear about, there are dozens of stories that never make the headlines because they involve people who are still climbing the ladder. People who can't afford to say no because one bad decision could end their career before it even starts. Now, let me tell you why I wanted to talk about this today. It's not because I want to gossip or drag anyone's name through the mud. It's because I think we need to be more aware of how this machine really works. We look at these celebrities and put them on a pedestal, thinking they have it all figured out, but most of the time, they're just trying to survive in an industry that is brutal and unforgiving. And when you hear stories about someone like Zac Efron supposedly earning millions through connections tied to yacht culture, it makes you realize how much of what we see is just a polished version of reality. These aren't just vacations, these are business trips disguised as parties. Every handshake, every smile, every champagne toast, there's an agenda behind it. And honestly, I don't even blame some of these people because the system is designed that way. If you don't play the game, someone else will, and they'll take the spot you've been dreaming about your whole life. What makes all of this even more complicated is the role social media plays. Back in the day, these things were easier to keep under wraps because there were no Instagram stories, no paparazzi drones flying over yachts in the middle of the ocean. Now, the internet has turned everything into a spectacle. Celebrities post a picture on a yacht and it goes viral in seconds. And you know what happens then? It becomes a trend. People start thinking, oh, this is the lifestyle I need to aspire to. They don't see the strings attached, they just see the luxury. And that's dangerous because it glamorizes something that, in reality, can be toxic and even exploitative. And here's the irony, the more these celebrities share, the more pressure they feel to keep up that image. It's a cycle that never ends, and it keeps pulling more and more people into it. So yeah, when I hear these stories about Zac Efron or any other celebrity being connected to this culture, I don't just think, wow, that's shocking. I think, of course it happens. Because when you strip away the glitter and the filters, this industry runs on power, influence, and access. And as long as those things matter, yacht culture isn't going anywhere. In fact, I'd bet it's only going to evolve and become even harder to spot because people are getting smarter about how they hide it. But at the end of the day, I think it's important to talk about these things because awareness is the first step to changing anything. Will it actually change? Probably not anytime soon. But at least we can stop romanticizing it like it's something harmless and glamorous when, in reality, it's a lot more complicated than that. Thanks for watching and spending your time with me today. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, make sure to give it a like. Don't forget to share it with your friends who might enjoy the topic too. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. I've got plenty more coming your way, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.